Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to talk about the latest episode of Batwoman Season 2, which was called Initiate Self-Destruct. So, the big thing in this episode, Kate is finally back. To me, that's like a double-edged sword. Her finally being back means we don't have to wonder anymore about when they're going to reveal her, how are they going to do it, what's the story going to be. They finally did it. The fact that she has a new voice now was even explained, which is good, because normally that's the kind of thing I'd nitpick. Oh, she has a different voice, nobody notices. They explained it by saying her voice box was irreparably changed through some damage that was done to it when she was retrieved by the Black Mask's henchmen. She's in the, I guess, possession of Black Mask. He straight up kidnapped her. But what they do with her is they brainwash her, basically. Black Mask has the Riddler's daughter brainwash her into thinking that she is the Black Mask's daughter, who I guess is deceased. And because of that, she wears a mask because now she's a Black Mask family member, right? So he wears a mask, she wears a mask. So we don't get to see the face of this person who the story tells us is Kate Kane, brainwashed into being someone else. How long that's going to go, whether or not we're going to see the face, I mean, we know who the actress is, but whether or not we're going to see the face in the story, we don't know. The next thing we see is the morning after, as it were, for Ocean and Alice, who, as I mentioned in the previous review, had a romantic interlude. And goons break in, Black Mask's goons, to kidnap him, because I guess they figure he knows the person who knows the recipe, the correct recipe for the snake bite, so they kidnap him, despite Alice's efforts to prevent that from happening. Now, over at the not the GCPD, but over at the headquarters of the Crows, Daddy Kane is still doping and still grouchy. I don't know why. The drug makes you grouchy, or if it's withdrawal because he's not getting it as often as he wants. I don't know. But anyway, he's still doping and still grouchy. And he yells at Sophie, who's trying to talk to him about whatever they're trying to do. But anyway, Sophie, of course, has realized at the end of the last episode that Ryan Wilder is Batwoman. And she also realizes that the Crows are about to figure out her identity because they have Batwoman's DNA from some kind of crime scene she was at or whatever, investigation scene. And they're running it through the database. And when it is run through the criminal database, it's going to come up with a match. And for some reason, she doesn't want them to discover who Batwoman is. Even though she kind of doesn't like the Batwoman character, she doesn't, I guess, want her found out. Also, I think she doesn't have anything particular against Ryan Wilder, so she doesn't want Ryan found out to be Bat. So she lights up the bat signal, and Ryan shows up as Batwoman, and it was pretty cool the way they did it. I'm going to see if I can work in a clip of it without getting a ping from the folks at YouTube. But it looked pretty cool what they actually did.
Hi. It's not a pager.
So Sophie explains to her, they're gonna find out who you are, especially if maybe, perhaps, possibly, your name is in the criminal registry. She doesn't want to even let Ryan know that she knows, which is cool. Well, actually, I don't know if that's cool. But anyway, she doesn't let her know that she knows. She just tells her, she gives her the heads up. So that maybe they can figure out a way to see to it that she isn't discovered. And it seemed weird to me during this particular scene. It seemed like Ryan was using a voice changer as Batwoman because her voice sounded different. But she hadn't used one with Sophie before, and she doesn't use it going further along the episode. So I don't know, it's very strange. But anyway, Batwoman decides she's still trying to get Angelique out of capture. They're trying to rescue her from capture by the Black Mask. He's capturing everybody, apparently. So she's tracking down a lead, and she runs into, of course, Alice, who's torturing people, to try to figure out where Ocean is being kept, which, of course, is the same place where Angelique is being kept, because they're both kidnapped for the same reason. So a conversation ensues, and they decide to sort of team up, and Batwoman takes her in the Batmobile to their next destination of trying to rescue these two people, which I guess they figured out where the headquarters is or whatever. So it was kind of a funny scene because she's got Alice in the passenger seat of the Batmobile, and she's all like,
Ooh, what does this button do? Please, please, do not push the button.
so that was pretty funny. I at the same time didn't like it though, because like, can anybody just touch buttons? It doesn't respond to particular fingerprint. Well, because they wear gloves. I don't know. It just seemed weird that there's no sort of, it doesn't ask for a code or anything. So anybody sitting there could just touch it. The idea being, of course, that there would never be anybody sitting there, but there is someone sitting there. So apparently it happens. So like, why? I don't know. The stupid stuff that I think about. Anyway, Batwoman tells her to knock it off or she's going to let her experience the ejector seat, which was funny. She's like, is there an ejector seat? She's like, keep pushing buttons. You'll find out. So then they come to a spot where they have to interrogate someone to try to figure out a little bit more about where Ocean is being held and which is where Angelique is being held. And Batwoman kind of roughs up this guy and asks him, where are they being held? And he doesn't tell her. Then Alice grabs him and sort of roughs him up a little bit more. And for some reason, he's more scared of her than Batwoman, and he tells them what he knows. And I was like, wait a minute. Why is that? That doesn't make any sense. But there you go. Anyway, as they're waiting to go in and storm the castle, as it were, there's a conversation between Alice and Ryan as they're sort of sizing up what they're going to do. And I thought it was one of those scenes, it was a great character insight scene, because they talk about their various sort of dysfunctions that they each have. And, Ryan's being guilt over the fact that Angelique is in the situation she's in because she got adopted out of the home that they were both in, and Ryan and Angelique didn't. And they sort of talk about how Alice's, sociopathy or sociopathy, and how that sort of got her all dysfunctional. I thought the scene was greatly acted, and it sort of points out that these characters are both, to one extent or another, damaged goods. They both have baggage, but they're different sides of that coin. Ryan is on a hopeful path, and she's trying to better herself and contribute to the community, where Alice is sort of not. She wants to be free of her own pain, so she's interested in sort of recovering from what she's experienced, but only for her own benefit, it seems. So they're two sides of the same coin, but they're not the same. And I thought it was kind of like Bruce and Joker, right? Bruce, went through a trauma as a child, lost his family, and grew up one way. Yeah, he's angry. Yeah, he's got, psychological issues, but he's contributing to society and he's fighting crime and stuff like that, rather than committing it. Whereas Joker, he went through a traumatic thing where he got dumped in the acid bath or whatever it is, and he just sort of ran with it in the crazy direction. So it's the same kind of dichotomy where they're the same sort of type A personality, but completely opposite in every way that you can think of in terms of their behavior in the world. So I thought that was interesting. One other thing that was interesting in this scene is that Alice says something to Ryan. She says, take it from me, take it from an anti-hero to a hero. You can't save everybody. So she sees herself as an anti-hero, which is different from a villain. So I think that's kind of telling. And I don't think that they've portrayed her as an anti-hero up to this point, but it seems like they're kind of going in that direction, which I think would be pretty cool. Now, while all this is going on, Sophie is still working to protect Ryan's identity. She's trying to figure out a way to make it so that the computer doesn't come back with a hit on Ryan. So she comes up with something working with Luke and Mary. Mary brings a USB device to Crow headquarters for Sophie to use in the computer to screw up the results. And she distracts her dad from his office so that she can do that by taking him to her medical clinic, which she has sort of upgraded to quasi-legit, which was interesting, but she still isn't completely legit. She's not going to report things that she's supposed to report. She's going to pretend that she's intends to, but then never actually do it. Back to the hideout Blackmask's hideout, where Angelique and Ocean are being held. Alice and Batwoman have stormed the castle, as it were, and they're confronted by Kate, who fights with both of them. And I don't understand why Kate is back. Maybe it'll make sense as they go along, but I don't get it at this point in time. But it was funny at one point because it's essentially Batwoman versus Batwoman all although the one Batwoman doesn't realize she was Batwoman. But it was interesting when you think that, that character is actually Kate, who was once Batwoman, and now she's fighting Batwoman. It's pretty weird. But then I guess Batwoman somehow manages to disengage from the fray, and Kate goes after Alice and has Alice pinned. And then Alice and Batwoman have a conversation, all while Kate has a knife to Alice's neck. And I'm like, why would she? She's fighting them. Why would she just allow them to have a conversation? But anyway, Batwoman just ends up saying to Kate, do whatever you want with her. I'm out of here. And she leaves. And like, why would she do that, number one? And why wouldn't Kate try to stop her? Like, she knows that she's trying to go and get Ocean and Angelique. Like, what? I didn't understand it. But anyway, that's what happens. I didn't buy it, though. I didn't buy Ryan just sort of leaving her for dead. I don't know. But back with Sophie, she figures out that Daddy Kane is doping. She finds the paraphernalia in his office, and she goes and tells Mary. And, of course, Mary doesn't believe it, but there you go. The jig is up. Batwoman, of course, does manage to get Angelique and Ocean out of Black Mask's clutches, and this leads to a scene back at Ryan's place between Ryan and Angelique, which I thought was a great scene. Angelique basically says, we can have a future, we can be together, come with me into witness protection. And Ryan says, I might have a short while ago, but now I'm invested in the community. I'm going to be teaching at the community center. My life is here. I have a job, I have friends. I think I can make a difference in the city. I think the city can be improved, because Angelique says, this city basically took the piss out of both of us. And she says, yeah, but I think it can be improved. And I just thought it was really great to see Ryan have a fealty to Gotham, like Bruce and Kate both did. Because first of all, you want that in your Bat hero. And secondly, because she started out jaded, and she still is a little jaded, but she started out jaded and feeling victimized and and being more self-centered, but she's changed and she's grown as a character, which you definitely want to see. And I never really saw that in what they did with Kate. The Kate character was a mess in season 1. So I just thought this was really great. I thought that scene had miles and miles of heart, as they say. That's from an old movie with Gene Hackman. But I just thought that was really great, and I thought this was a good episode for some of the things that it accomplished. The dynamic between Batwoman and Alice, which I want to see more of. It demonstrates that Ryan, as it has in a couple of the past episodes, is evolving and growing. I think that's all good stuff. Unfortunately, it was mixed in with some goofy stuff, like Kate being back, like what? But I think the show is a big improvement from season 2, as I've said. And I think so far they've had more good episodes than bad this season, more good stuff than bad stuff. Or I don't know, maybe some good stuff that's really good and it kind of overshadows the bad. So I'm still watching and I think it's great, and I actually enjoyed the show. I'll be back with the next, another review after the next episode. For now, I say once again, peace and long life.